So some people asked me to explain how I shot this video on my phone, and to be totally honest, it took me only like 20 minutes to produce the whole video because it's a pretty simple process and it's not a really complicated video. You just have to know what you're doing, and I'm going to explain in this video what I did there. So first of all, a lot of people thought that video looks really good, but that's also because they saw it on a smartphone, like on a small screen. If you blow that up to a big screen, it wouldn't look as good as on a smartphone. And to be honest, if you shoot on your phone and you put it up on a big screen, you for sure know the difference between an actual camera. If you just watch it on a phone, it's a little harder to tell the difference. But let's talk about a few techniques I used when creating this video. And when it comes to this video, I'm actually gonna break it down in 3 main parts that are really important that you have to do when you want to shoot videos like that. And the first one is lighting. You really have to know the lighting, and which makes it really easy is that I just have to light the product because the background is black. I just masking that out. I just have to make sure that the product is well lit. And I'm actually, because my style is pretty cinematic and minimalistic, so I just use one nanolight power tool to go over the product. Nothing crazy. I just wanted to highlight the product with the stripe of light that goes over the product. And I made the light pretty bright because you don't want any grain in your footage. Also, when you look at the background of the raw footage, it's totally illuminated. You can see everything that is behind. I used a black background, but it's just totally illuminated and it's not really looking good in the raw footage. And then I come to my second point, which is masking. I mask around the product to make it look like it's these rich blacks. You can't achieve that really in camera. I mean, you can crush the blacks a little bit, but you can't really achieve that 100% without like messing with the exposure of the product. So what it really comes down to is masking around the product. And I create a path for the mask in case the product is moving, but actually in this case, it's not moving at all. So it's just still, so it's pretty simple. And then I just mask around the product, and just this gives me these rich blacks that come in the background, which makes it look so much more professional. And you can also add some variety to it. If you shoot in front of a green screen, you can easily remove the background by keying it out, and then just can put any background you want. But I like to keep black and dark, so that's why I went with the black background. You can also use a blue background, but then you have to be more careful of the edges of the product. You can also feather it a bit, but just make sure it looks good. With the black, it's pretty easy because you can crush the blacks a lot, so it's already pretty dark when you shoot on a black background, and you can just mask around. With you have a colored background, you have to be a little careful because you can't crush it too much, because otherwise the background will look weird. I would recommend using a green screen and then just keying it out, and then just using a color in post-production, and you just put a color matte behind, and you can just add any color you want in the background. And the third point that I use for this video is movement. I just zoom in and add some rotation to make it more cinematic and just add some more interest to the footage. I'm just creating 2 points, like an in and out point that I can zoom in or rotate, and just create a path that the product moves, because this makes it way more interesting and look professional. So I think these are the 3 tips, and as I said, it only took me 20 minutes to shoot the whole thing and edit it together, and I feel like you can do that too. If you have any questions, let me know, and I hope this was helpful. While I was editing the video, I came up with another point that's really important when you're shooting your videos on your phone, and that is that your exposure has to stay consistent. You can achieve that while pressing the screen and locking in the exposure on your phone when you're shooting on the normal camera app of the iPhone. But what I recommend is using a camera app that lets you control all the settings, like the Moment app. That's what I use. You can dial in your shutter speed, your ISO, your white balance, because also you don't want that to be changing throughout the video. And the ISO should also stay consistent, because when you're moving the light over the product, the audio ISO will increase a lot and the footage will get really grainy. Make sure your parameters are consistent, and the camera control app is the way to go here. I think some of the other phones that are not iPhones have that function built in. Unfortunately, the iPhone still doesn't have that feature built in. Maybe in the future, but you always can use third-party apps if you have an iPhone. So that's it. Thanks so much for sticking around until the end of the video. I hope you learned something today. As always, a free and easy way to support the channel is hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, you might consider doing so. I'd really appreciate it. If you have any questions, shoot me a message on Instagram at sebpiccinema, and I will see you in the next video.